The next thing that we will gonna do, we will create converter class. And let's create a new package. We will call it converter. And in that package, let's create class. I will call it temp converter. You can call it whatever you like. And this class requires component annotation. In this class, we want to convert category entity function to convert category entity to category DTO and vice versa, and we want to do the same with products. And for that, we will need private mapper. It will be model mapper, and we will call it mapper. And we require auto-wired annotation. That means that we need to create a bin for a model mapper in our configuration class. And let's create public method. First, let's convert category entity to DTO. Category DTO. And we will call the function category entity to DTO. And we will have a category entity as a parameter. And now let's create category DTO return value. And let's use mapper. Map. We will map this category entity to category DTO.class. And that will be enough, and we will just return value. It will convert, and it will be easy because between category entity and DTO they have same fields: category ID, which is integer, and name, which is string, and it will be very easy to convert. And also we need to create vice versa function, category entity, and the name of the function will be category DTO to entity, and we will have category DTO as a parameter. We can just call it category. And now let's create category entity. We will call it return value equals to mapper dot map category to category entity dot class. And that will be enough. And now we will just return this return value, and our function is completed. We will have a little more work with product, and let's start public product DTO product entity to DTO, and we will have a product entity as parameter, and let's create product DTO, return value equals to mapper map product to product DTO class. But as you can see, now we will see again, there is a problem because we have some of the fields and which not all the fields are same. It will be okay for the product ID, product brand, model, description, but here in the create time and update time in DTO we have string, and in entity, in the product entity, we have these fields, but they are timestamp. And also we have category entity, which is category, and we don't have category in the DTO. We have a category ID which is integer, and that means that it will be a little bit difficult to convert, but let's do it. First thing that we want to do, we want to create private, we need decimal format. We will call it dec4 equals to new decimal format. Of course, this is not necessary. I want this decimal format. I want to round the price to 2 decimals only. And also we need another thing, private date time for date time formatter. Yes, it's from java.time.format. We will call it formatter equals to date time formatter. We need of pattern, and we need to write the pattern. It will be year, month, day, and also hour and minute. I think that will be fine. And now let's continue with our method. First thing, we want to price to have to make price that have only 2 decimals. Here in this line of code we have converted this product entity to DTO, but before we continue, we will forget later. Let's return to Spring MVC configuration and let's create one bin, and it will be public model mapper. We will just call it get mapper function, and let's create new model mapper inside. We will call it return value because we need to return model mapper equals to new model mapper, and we need to change some settings. Get configuration, set ambiguity ignored, it needs to be true, and also set field access level, and it will be private. Okay, we can access to the private fields. And also one more thing, return value, get configuration. We need to set matching strategies. Set matching strategy, and it will be strict. We need to find matching strategies. It's a strategies, not strategy. And it will be strict. That means, for example, we have create time string. It will not be converted to create timestamp. It needs to be same name and same data. And now we will just return value. That will be fine. Control Shift F, Control S to save. Now we will go back to temp converter class. And now let's create a float variable price. And it will be return value get price. And let's change it. Price equals to float first. Let's use dec4 dot format, and we will use a variable price, but by default it will be string. And to convert it to float, we will just type float value of we will change this private this variable price. We will change it. It will be the same value but with 2 decimals only. Now we have completed, and now let's set return value. Let's set the price. Set price, here it is. We will set this price on the line which is on the line 39, and we have now the price will be with 2 decimals only. And let's see the fields which are not same. We have create time, which is string in the DTO, and we have create time, which is timestamp in the entity. And let's start first. Let's type optional. Optional timestamp, and we will call it create time optional equals to optional of nullable product, which is product entity, product get create time. And we need to import timestamp from Java SQL library, and that will be fine. And now if create time optional is present, now we need to convert it to string. And let's do it. let's create a zoned date time. And we will call it create time zoned. Will be create time, just a moment, create time optional, which is optional of timestamp, and get. Now it's a timestamp. Of course, we cannot create convert zone date time from timestamp. We need to convert it to local date time, and now it's a local date time at zone, and we will need zone ID of, and let's type, I will use my time zone, Europe, Belgrade. You can use your own. Of course, we can only convert it in the local date time, but I want to be with zone date time. I think that now it's good. And we have this create time zone. Now, the point is what we want to do. We want to convert this zone date time to string. And how we can do this? We will simply create string, create time str equals we will use create time, this create time zone format, and we will use this formatter that we have created already in the line 27. This is the way how you can convert zone date time or local date time to string. And now we just need to return value, which is product DTO, set create time, and we will set this create time str, which is perfect. And we will do the same for the update time. It will be update time optional, optional of nullable, product get update time, and if it is present, let's do the same. To local date time at zone and zone ID of okay, I think that that's fine. And now we just need to create string update time str it's to update time zones formatter, and that's fine. And just we need to set this string to return value. And the last thing that we want to resolve is category ID. And in the entity, we have a category entity. Now let's do it. We have optional category entity. It will be category optional equals to optional of nullable product get category. That's good. And if this category optional is present and we have for a product DTO we need just ID of this category, return value set category ID we will use from category optional get, that will be category entity, and we will just get category ID, and this will be great. And now for this function we just need to return this return value. And this is how we will convert product entity to product DTO. And now let's create function to convert product DTO to product entity. Let's start. It will be also public function. Product DTO to entity, and we will have product DTO as parameter. And let's start. Let's create return value. Products to product entity dot class. And now these three lines of code we can copy from this function. It will be the same. We want to set the price to 2 decimals only. And now product has create time string, and we want to convert it to timestamp. Optional string create time optional, and we are using optional. It is to avoid null pointer exception. Equals to optional of nullable product get create time, which is great. And if create time optional is present, maybe it is better to call it create time str. And also here I will change to create time str. Now let's create string create time str equals to create time str optional dot get, and let's use this string. Now let's create zone date time. Create time zoned equal to local date time. Let's create local date time. Parse create time. Okay, we will use create time str with formatter. But the problem is this is a local date time and we have a write zone date time, and we will write at zone ID of, I will just type Europe Belgrade. Okay, that's fine. This should work fine. And now if we want to set this, return value set create time. If we want to use this create time zone, we can do this because we need, this is a zone date time and we need timestamp. Let's try to use timestamp. Just a moment. Value of create time zoned. I think that will be fine. And it will not work. But in my case, I think that it should work. Just a moment. Okay, it needs to be in a local date time. Okay, I understand. Okay, we couldn't, and now we will just we can just, I think that's enough for that, and we need to do the same for update time string update time optional. Product get update time and also update time, it will be str optional. Let's create update time str. And let's create zone date time. Update time zoned equals to local date time parse at zone of Europe Belgrade. Okay. And now let's convert it to timestamp. But I want to try it in another way. Set update time. And let's use create time. It's not create time, it's update time. To instant. It will not work. Maybe I need to use timestamp from okay, that this should work. Okay, I need to just a moment. I think that this should be better. Timestamp from update time zone to instant. Okay, and I will copy this line of code. This one I will just comment. I think that this also will work. But let's do it this way. And now it will be set create time, and here will be create time zone to instant. Now this is the way, I think this is the proper way how to convert zone date time to timestamp. And the last thing that we need to implement here, it is we have a category ID in the product DTO, and now we need entity. Let's do it. Optional integer, because we have integer in product DTO. Category ID optional equals optional of nullable product get category ID, which is great, and if it is present, okay, let's create variable integer category ID equals my mistake, category ID optional dot get. And also for this we need to auto wire. We will need category repository here. We also need auto-wired annotation. And let's have optional category entity. Optional equals to category repository find by ID, category ID, which is correct. And if category optional is present, we will just set return value, set category, we will just use category optional dot get. And now that will be fine. I think that almost everything is perfect, but just we need just to return value. Control Shift and F, and let's save it. I think that this is fine. A little bit complicated, but you will learn how to properly convert entity to DTO and vice versa. We will see how it works, but it's okay for now. Let me close all. And that will be enough for this tutorial.